Hello and welcome to Dare to Soar, the show where you will hear all about Pinnacle Classical Academy, Cleveland County's first and only premier charter school. My name is Wendy Clary and I am the Dean of Elementary Education at the K-3 campus located on South Post Road, where we have a little over 400 scholars who attend. I would like to first of all let everyone know that our thoughts and our efforts have been directed toward everyone in Western Carolina who were affected by the hurricanes. The students and the families that were affected, we know that you are working hard, and we have tried to support you in a way. A couple of areas like Old Fort and West Jefferson, we have had a hurricane donation and relief project going on that our Student Government Association has headed up. So we want to say thank you to each and every one of you, parents, community members, anyone who has donated to that relief effort. We know that those things are definitely in need. And as a matter of fact, during the time that we were collecting, there was a small snow shower up there in the mountains. So those coats, the blankets, the things, the cleaners, all of those things will be used, and we thank you so much. For our students who returned after the hurricane, they were really super excited to be able to be met with the book fair. The book fair is always an exciting time. It's a time that students anticipate, but the real reason that we have book fair, not just for students to get out of class and go shop, the real reasons that we have book fairs are for students to develop their choices and love for reading, because a lot of times students have things chosen for them as they are going through their day-to-day lives. And if they are able to choose things for themselves, then this gives them a power to feel like that they are in control. Most of the time when students choose the books they like to read, they're more likely to pick up that book and to fall in love with reading. Also, we have book fairs to develop reading and comprehension skills. This is a wonderful opportunity to build students' home libraries and to develop and build knowledge and vocabulary critical for understanding new subject matter. It also is a time to make it a family event and just really bring the community together. We had a lot of grandparents who came. We had a lot of folks that popped in and bought books for Christmas presents and things along those lines. So we want to thank you all, to each and every one of you that supported our book fair. And also those of you who bought some of the books off of the teacher's wish list, we really thank you for that, because that helps to build up our classroom libraries as well. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Ms. Jones, for coordinating our book fair this year. Our Parents Encouraging Academic Knowledge, that is our Parent PTO, or PEAK as we call it at Pinnacle. Our parent organization is really working hard this year to establish strong homeschool connections and relationships. They are engaging parents in a variety of ways, and one of those first events that we had at one of the general meetings was a chili cook-off. These are our winners. There were several pots of chilies, and everyone got to cast a vote. They were able to taste each one of the chilies, and here are our top 3 winners. And we want to say thank you so much to each and every one, all of our parents who participated in the chili cook-off. As a matter of fact, we also have one of our 3rd grade teachers, Ms. Cody Bowen, who is on the left, and she actually was one of our winners as well. So thanks, guys, for doing that. We really appreciate all of the creative ways that you are going about to develop those connections between home and school. Our PEAK organization also recognized our Teachers of the Year this year at that general meeting, Ms. Tatiana Ledbetter and Ms. Erica Worthen, one at each campus. We appreciate you doing that because our teachers feel such support on a high level from the PEAK organization, and we really are super excited that you show that each and every day. They also worked hard on our annual Fall Festival. This event is always, like the book fair, anticipated and really enjoyed, and that was a community event for families to attend. We also had several families who are possible candidates for Pinnacle students who showed out and came and visited, or showed up and came and visited to see what Pinnacle was all about. This is a wonderful way for you to see us, and we will have other events throughout the year where you can do that as well. Our field trips have also started this year, and our third graders had an in-house field trip. Can't say it's my favorite, but I typically like looking at the snakes from the other side of a terrarium, but Divine Reptiles came in, and these students had such an amazing time wrapping up their study of animal toxicology or classification. Here are a few pictures for you to look at. One is of an albino snake that our third grader here is holding, and also the other one is the tarantula that he brings in. So this was very much enjoyed by the students and the teachers down there, and not so much administration, but we are so thankful for the field trips that our teachers are coordinating and working into the curriculum. This is always a really good time. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us and learning all about Pinnacle Classical Academy. We'll be right back.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts, Christmas at your fingertips.
It's the shopping event of the season, the Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Celebrate the 12 days of Christmas, a countdown of Yuletide cheer brimming with festive decor and seasonal magic. Buy tickets at southernchristmasshow.com.
Let's go to the Southern Christmas Show.
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at c19.tv.
Someone once said that without music, life would be a mistake. And that's how we feel here on Face the Music. Hi, I'm Summer Castle-Keever, and I'd love for you to join me each month on our new program, Face the Music, which airs on C19 TV and c19.tv. Each month we'll highlight the talents, personalities, and stories behind some of the area's most gifted singers, songwriters, and musicians. It's going to be a lot of fun, so join me each month for a new edition of Face the Music right here on C19.
Hi there and welcome to Dare to Soar. My name is Laura Beth Richardson and I'm the Dean of Intermediate Education. We're changing some things up today. I'm here with Mr. Gosi, who's our athletic director. Thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we have some really exciting news for everybody today. There's a couple things we'd like to share with you. One of them being athletic recognitions and another one being community recognitions. So we'll start with those academic recognitions. The first young lady that I would like to speak about today, her name is Madison Geddes, and she is a phenomenal student. They've been at our school for a long time, and we recently had our middle school students take the CLT. So the CLT is really interesting because it builds on that classical curriculum that we have at our school. And so the classical learning test, or CLT, is a chance for our kids to show what they know. Right? Yeah. So it's math and it's language arts. And what I love about the reading piece and the reading comprehension piece is they specifically pull poems, short stories, fiction, nonfiction, passages from classical texts.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like that's the ultimate chance for our kids to kind of look back on what they've had in the past in previous grades, and then move forward with kind of seeing what they can retain. So the special thing about Madison is she recently took that CLT-10, and she is now named a distinguished scholar. So what that means is, yes, and what that means is her score she met such a high score. She gets that distinguished honor. So that is not something that we see every day, and we're very proud of her.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So congratulations to Madison and her family. Moving on, we have a student who again has been with us for a long time. Her name is Chesney Stewart, and Chesney is one of our seniors this year. Chesney was recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation, and she is called, the title is a commended student in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. Wow. And what that means is this puts Chesney's PSAT as one of the top in the nation.
Wow.
I know. So there she is receiving that recognition there with our Dean of High School and our high school counselor, Dr. Martin. But what an honor. I mean, not just the county,
sure.
not just the state, that's in the nation.
She's also a talented volleyball player, if you
she
notice the letter on her
is.
jacket there, so congratulations to her.
Absolutely, we're very proud, very proud. And that's one of those things when we see our kids that have been with us so long, growing up, it's nice to see that we always say at Pinnacle, knowledge builds on knowledge,
Sure.
right? And so to see kind of that culmination of all of that
that's
makes
awesome.
you feel like, okay, yes, like this curriculum is awesome and our
Right.
kids are really showing out. So we couldn't be more proud of those young ladies.
Absolutely, yeah.
So another way that we like to recognize our students at Pinnacle is not just our academic recognitions, but also giving back to the community.
For sure.
Right? And that's part of our mission statement is we want to produce students who are going to be good citizens
Right.
in our community, right? So one thing I love about Pinnacle is our kids really have a heart for giving back.
Absolutely.
And just they're always kind of thinking, how can we help, right? One young lady I'd like to speak about specifically is Miss Marin Freeland. So she is one of our high school students, and she was just recognized for her excellent volunteer record.
Wow.
So she was awarded the Bronze Level Presidential Volunteer Service Award.
Ooh.
Absolutely. So we're very proud of her. Lots of hours, lots of hours. In fact, she had to complete over 100 volunteer hours to get that.
Wow. She's also an athlete, volleyball,
That's
soccer.
right. That's right.
That's cool. That's awesome.
We see her name pop up quite a lot, don't we?
Absolutely, sure.
So it's really good to see our kids wanting to give back, and it's encouraging when we see our young people getting involved.
For sure. Well-rounded, I guess, would be the
Absolutely.
academics. And
Absolutely. So congratulations to Marin.
absolutely.
Very proud. Another thing I'd like to talk about in terms of giving back to our community, and not just our community, but those around us.
Right.
I know that Ms. Clary earlier mentioned about the effects of the hurricane that recently came through, and as soon as that occurred and we started getting back to that, what we would call normal life,
Right.
Our student government and our National Honor Society, they got together and said, what can we do about
sure.
this? What can we do to raise funds? What can we do to get items that are desperately needed at
Right.
this time? So what they did is we had one day where students could dress down and wear the color orange, and they would bring $1 to do that, and all of that money is going towards hurricane relief.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and the other thing we've been doing is donating yes, people are donating things like, gloves, blankets, just like Miss Clary said, it's getting cold in the mountains, and Western North Carolina needs some things to stay warm.
For sure.
Yep. So, I feel like in times like this, it's good to just look for the helpers.
Right.
And look for people that are trying to not only give back, but just help people
Support each other.
and get back to normal. So I'm really proud of our students for
Yeah.
putting
We
their
actually,
best
our
foot
athletic
forward.
department, I was sharing with you earlier, our athletic department actually, instead of taking admissions, took donations of gloves and blankets
That's awesome.
and other material to help along support the SGA and the National Honor Society in their quest to kind of give back to the community. So we were glad to do our small part
Sure.
in supporting some of those student-led initiatives. So that's
Sure.
great.
And I think any little bit helps. So,
Absolutely.
it's
getting
just,
cold.
That's
And
right.
unfortunately, some of those people are still without power, so those blankets and things will come in handy, I'm sure, in the days
Absolutely.
ahead.
Yeah, so it's just a wonderful thing to see our young people just willing to serve.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So speaking of raising funds, I think the 50-50 raffle is going on.
Yeah, so yearly, the athletic department does a 50-50 raffle like a lot of our other surrounding schools to help raise funds to give back to the athletic department. This year, As you can see on your screen, we are delighted to partner with Cleveland Community College, who is our ticket sponsor this year. So thank you to the Community College for donating some funds to help us purchase our tickets. But we are looking forward to a good raffle, hopefully, and being able to put some funds back into our athletic department. We did lose a few games due to the weather, the hurricane and things of that nature. And so athletics always has needs, equipments and field updates and rentals and those things. So we're hopeful that these tickets will get out in the hands of our community members, our school students and our staff and parents. And we hopefully bring you guys some good news in the coming months. I think last year we raised somewhere near $13,000 total. So it tends to be a good raffle for us. So we hope to get some tickets to everyone in the near future. We also want to take a minute to talk about our business sponsors.
Yes.
Collectively this year already, we've already raised, I think I shared last month, about $13,000 total just from our business sponsors. And we'd like to go through those with you just briefly on the screen. Hoke Enterprises, Caldwell Appraisals, Shelby Dental Care Center, Norris Merchandise, Shelby Alarm Company, Rejuvator, Arthur Services Incorporated, Christy Ray Fitness, Stephen Ray Farm Bureau, Clary Construction Concepts, ABT Tax Service, and last but not least, Westmoreland Printers. So, Ms. Richardson, like I said, we are working hard and trying to fundraise and build our athletic program. Middle school sports are growing fast, and we hope to bring you guys some more exciting news next month.
Thank you so much for watching this segment of Dare to Soar. We'll be right back with you.
Cleveland Community College has identified strengthening online learning as the topic for its quality enhancement plan. We're calling it SOAR. SOAR's 5-year implementation plan is focused on continuous improvement of online courses and promoting student success. We're excited for you to take this journey with us.
She gets her hair from her mom, her eyes from her dad, and her drugs from her home medicine cabinet. Fact: more people die from drug overdoses than from car crashes or gun violence. And over 50% of those deaths are from prescription drugs. Prescription drug abuse is preventable. 1. Secure and take regular inventory of our medications. 2. Dispose of unused or expired medications. 3. Share this message with others. Be aware, don't share. Lock your meds.
Hello, I'm Jeff Ziegler, Dean of Academics at Pinnacle Classical Academy here in Shelby. I'm joined by Dan Sanchez, who spoke today to our high school students about the revolutionary ideas that framed the Constitution. Dan Sanchez is an essayist, editor, and educator. His primary topics are liberty, economics, and educational philosophy. He is a distinguished senior fellow at the Foundation for Economic Education, or FEE. He created the Hazlitt Project at FEE, launched the Mises Academy at the Mises Institute, and taught writing for Praxis. He has written hundreds of essays for venues, including FEE.org, Mises.org, Antiwar.com, and The Objective Standard. Mr. Sanchez, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
At Pinnacle Classical Academy, we emphasize the importance of great works of literature and primary texts, from ancient authors like Homer and Aristotle to more recent works like the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s Letter from Birmingham Jail and Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Why do you think that great works of literature and primary texts in general are important in a student's education?
Well, for one thing, I think that the primary texts contain some of the most beautiful and eloquent language that has ever been written by human authors. And it really helps students to learn what beautiful and eloquent text looks like. It's a great way of enriching one's life to just be able to appreciate that. It's also a great way to learn to write, because then you understand what you like and when you see it in your own writing, and it helps to develop you as a writer. In a lot of classical education discussions, I've heard this notion, this phrase of furnishing the mind, and I think the idea of going to source texts and especially just memorizing key passages, like, for example, we talked about the Constitution today, the preamble of the Constitution. We talked about a source text, John Locke's Two Treatises of Government. There are passages in there that are really influential and really important and really beautiful that would be, great to either memorize or just to be familiar with and know how to look up. And that really does furnish the mind, and it ultimately gives students something to work with as they learn to write, but also something to work with as they're putting together their own beliefs about things like politics and about the world. It gives them sort of building blocks for constructing what they believe.
In addition to emphasizing great works of literature and primary texts, Pinnacle Classical Academy requires its high school students to take classes in Latin, logic, and rhetoric. In your judgment, how can classical education help prepare students for college, the workplace, and more broadly for citizenship?
So I've been learning a lot more about classical education recently, and a book that you guys sent contained The Lost Tools of Learning, which is a speech that was turned into an essay by Dorothy Sayre. And in that, she talks a lot about the trivium, the three subjects as they were taught, like from ancient Greece through the Middle Ages and into the early modern period of grammar, logic or dialectic, and rhetoric. And what I think is so great about that is that it really corresponds with how humans learn at different stages in their life. And so Sayre, talks about like the first stage of grammar, and when we hear the word grammar, we think of sort of like the rules of grammar, but we're talking about like when kids are like really young, like 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, and it wasn't that they were learning sort of like the technical terms for grammar. Really, what Dorothy Sayre was saying should be done at the time is that furnishing of the mind, of just like being exposed to great stories and facts and interesting natural history, just things about the world, to just have kids be exposed to language, both in speech and in writing, so that that's actually how they learn how to speak and write correctly. So they learn the rules of grammar. They're not able to articulate them, but they're able to like act them out. And that gives them the building blocks to use in the next stage, which is the logic stage. And that's kind of sort of like more in sort of like towards the middle school. And that's where kids get really disputatious, and they like to catch especially adults out in errors in things. And so they have the building blocks from like the facts that they learned in the grammar stage to, be playfully disputatious and exercise the use of their reasoning and the use of their logic. And then in the rhetoric stage, they put all that together and make it not just correct, but persuasive. And they learn how to persuasively use facts that they learned in grammar and the logic that they learned in the logic stage to actually, persuade people of their case. And so I think that is just natural to the way people learn. So like, I think it's a great experience. So you asked about logic and you asked about Latin too. And Latin, I think, is, from what I was reading from the Sayre text, I haven't read Latin myself, but what I've heard a lot of people say is that when you're ready to actually learn the rules of a language, it's actually better to learn Latin because it's more structured and straightforward and simple than English, because English is such a hodgepodge of like, Germanic and Romance languages and stuff. And then like from the skills that you get of learning like the straightforward rules of Latin, it helps you to analyze like any language after that, and helps you to analyze your own writing, because then you can sort of like pick apart like, okay, well, I'm using this, I'm making this mistake here. It helps you identify mistakes. It helps you improve your writing too.
Okay. You spoke to our high school students today. What's your overall impression of Pinnacle Classical Academy and our students?
Very impressed. Some of the questions that people came up, that some of the students came up and asked me about like Thomas Hobbes and advice about like how to study these ideas going further. Like it was so neat to see how engaged and studious these students were. Some of the responses that I got during when I was asking them questions were really impressive. They were really well behaved. They were really respectful. So yeah, it seems like what you guys are doing here is really special.
Well, thank you. And finally, I'd like to give you the opportunity to speak to our audience about the Foundation for Economic Education.
Yes, so the Foundation for Economic Education, or FEE, was founded in 1946 by Leonard E. Reed, and it was really the first organization that geared towards teaching free market economics, but also in general the freedom philosophy, the philosophy of liberty in the country. And since then, a lot of similar organizations have been founded, but the inspiration almost invariably traces back to FEE, back to the Foundation for Economic Education. And that was a really significant milestone because the ideas that I talked about in my presentation today, like the founding philosophy of the country that was expressed in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, that it was largely forgotten by the time that FEE was founded. That like during the post-World War II era, it was like just everyone, the assumption was that big government won the war, big government beat the Depression. That's how they interpreted things, and big government was considered the wave of the future, and these freedom ideas were considered retrograde, or if they were even considered at all. Most people just didn't consider them at all. They didn't talk about them at all. And so FEE was fundamental in bringing that back into the conversation. And ever since then, it just steadily grew, reintroducing the ideas of liberty that the country was founded on back into the conversation. And since then, now it is an option. It's something that is actually out there, that is readily accessible to people. And I don't think we would be anywhere near that position if it wasn't for FEE.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for coming to speak with us today.
Thank you, Jeff.